Hey, welcome everyone to the Church Explained podcast, a conversation to grow your leadership and build your church. I'm Dave.
I'm Nathan, and as usual, we are your hosts for this episode. Today we've been joined by Chandler Boyce, and he's kindly provided us with a bio here.
Great bio.
It's a great bio, so get ready, people. Strap yourselves in. Yes. Here we go.
Lord.
Chandler is passionate about every relationship he makes and every audience he speaks to. He loves people and wants to help them by any means possible. As the president of Free Church Media and the owner of the marketing co-op, Chandler is passionate about helping people grow their influence to advance the kingdom.
Like that.
Right, get yourselves strapped in, people.
Here we go.
When he isn't working, you'll find Chandler spending time with his wife and 6-year-old daughter, Googling the newest trends, using up all Verizon's cell phone minutes, cleaning out the entire Haribo gummy bear factory, and trying to figure out why golf is so hard. And I'm still trying to figure that out. So why is it so hard, Chandler?
Dude, listen, as a former college baseball player, it is the most frustrating thing I have experienced in life. I would say the hardest thing in life is marriage, but golf is harder than that.
golf is
but it's the good shots that keep you coming back. No matter how many bad shots you have, the one good shot will keep you coming back.
Oh, absolutely. It just takes one. It's like I didn't ever have a drug phase, but I imagine if I was a drug addict, that's the correlation with golf is that one good shot. You're like, I'm going to come back. I'm not going to give it up.
Hey, Chandler, it is so good to have you with us. We should welcome you properly. Get off the golf topic, because this isn't a golfing podcast.
No. Even though it is, as at time of recording, Dave, it is Masters Week.
It is Masters Week. Okay, well, I was attracted to the gummy bears, but you went for the golf. Yeah. So what can we say? Hey, well, it's so good to have you here, and we just want to dig in a little bit and find out something about yourself. So, hey, Chandler, tell us a little bit about your story, maybe your faith background, ministry background, and it would be great just to hear about that.
Yeah, faith background. So fortunate to have been raised by two wonderful parents, Christian parents who, I grew up always wishing I had a good testimony. Like I wish, I had some crazy story of God meeting me when I was, on the side of the road or, doing bad stuff. But my testimony is that I was raised by two wonderful faith-filled parents who showed me the way. And so grew up in church and played sports my whole life. Never really got in much trouble. We all have those seasons when we're working on our testimony. And, it was some thank God for God's grace. Got out of college and came back home, and it was 2008, 2009. So there was that was a recession time. I was confident. I was, had a degree. No one was hiring. My own dad couldn't get me a job, and I was had an identity crisis. Like, God, what do you want me to do? Who am I? What do you want me to do? Like what's next? And I was, I started going to a small group at my church that actually she wasn't then, my wife she was leading that small group, and our church had a summer camp. And so I jumped in. We had a bunch of young adults and was just praying, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And I felt like he gave me one word. And he told me to serve. And so that summer, our church, had a summer camp, and I started serving. I served in the kitchen. I served in the concession stand. I served on the volleyball court. I mean, I was there from the minute it opened to, till it closed that whole summer. Long story short, a couple years later, I'd gotten a job. My wife and I had dated and got married, and I was doing a sales job at a construction company, and quit that job. No clue what I was going to do. And my father-in-law was like, "Hey, why don't you come and help build this summer camp?" We were basically in a transition season from the person who was leading it. And I was like, "Sure, I'll do it for a little bit." Well, long story short, a couple of years later, when I was like I was leading the summer camp and was running it, and it's funny how God does that. Where I was just like, okay, I'll serve, I guess. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm just gonna go serve at the summer camp, and then quickly 2, 3, 4 years later, I'm standing on the stage and praying for kids, and we've got a leadership conference, and so did that for almost a decade, and then things happened, and that's a whole nother story. But then God moved us to Fort Worth, and my wife is on staff at our church. She's on the preaching team, executive team, leads the women's ministry here, and I recently started my own business, and so that's kind of my quick background. But it's a story of God's faithfulness through the life's funds, highs and lows.
Yeah.
No.
Great. Hey, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I guess we want to find out, you've mentioned golf in there. We do have a question in here. What do you do for fun? You can't include golf because you described it already. It doesn't sound like fun to me. So what else do you do, Chandler?
Honestly, that has been my recently. It was actually last year I got into it, and the reason why so it's kind of a joke. Like if you play baseball, like the next thing you do once you get done is you go to golf. So the minute I got done playing college ball, I went and took lessons. It was so frustrating. I took one lesson. I was like, I hate this. I'm never doing this again. And that was 2009, right? And so last year I was like, man, I want to tackle something, do something that is going to humble me, that I'm going to have to work at. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Like I'm actually going to have to apply myself fully or at some level to trying to get decent at something. And so I was like, I'm going to do golf. And honestly, the first few times I went to play, guys, it was like walking into the lunchroom as a freshman in high school, and you feel like you don't know where to sit and who your friends are, and you're like nervous, and you think someone's going to make fun of you. Dude, it's a fun. So golf is that's kind of my one. One fun. I practice. I'll take the girls out. We'll set up a blanket, do a picnic. Hit golf balls and all that stuff. So that's kind of my fun thing right now.
We'll give you that one.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it too. I love it too. Just to frame our conversation, because we're going to talk about kind of social media, getting your church known, that kind of thing. Would you just explain, in your bio, you're the president of Free Church Media, the owner of the marketing co-op. Would you explain what they are and what kind of services and what you do as, part of your role now?
Yeah, so Free Church Media is a really cool story. I won't get into it, but basically, having led a summer camp and working with and being around many churches from all over the country of different sizes, I realized that most churches, especially at the kind of sub-ministry levels, youth ministry, young adults, whatever, they don't have the resources, the finances to have high quality graphics, sermon series, videos, bumper videos, countdown videos, whatever it is. And so so basically Free Church Media, we curate good, like high quality, free graphics and videos for churches. And my heart is for the local church. And we believe, everyone, we believe that the gospel is the greatest message, and it needs to be communicated and displayed excellent. And so we just want to make sure that if churches don't have those resources, they have something they can get and see and use resources that are attractive, that are appealing to people. I think that matters. And then on the marketing side, I started my own marketing consulting business last year, and really just want to help churches create a actual plan and strategy to communicate the greatest message and the greatest organization, the greatest cause on earth. And there's a gap there, and the churches, not every church, but a lot of churches, they're still catching up. And I feel like when it comes to displaying, communicating, advertising, marketing, churches are just, we're a little behind on having a game plan and knowing and understanding what to do, how to communicate, how to display it, and how to attract people to their church, to their social media, whatever it may be.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I love that. Great free resources there, and some paid stuff as well. So thinking of churches then, I mean, you've mentioned a little bit there, Chandler, but what do you think are the biggest challenges churches face when it comes to getting their story known or getting themselves out there?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question. I was thinking about this when I was going over the questions, and I mean, there's many obstacles that churches have. Obviously, you've got the staff that you have to have. You got the lead pastor, and then you need a worship pastor and a kids pastor, and so it's like getting to a place and a size and finding someone that can focus on that and take, what the church is doing, the ministry, the message, the testimonies, the stories, and capturing those, communicating those, email, whatever forms there are. It's a lot. It really is. It's a lot. And I'll say when it comes to the digital space, it's constantly moving. I think when it comes to other ministry positions and within the church, things change, but it's all there's just a lot of the key foundations of the church and roles. There's some similarities, there's some basic things, but when it comes to the digital online space, it's a lot, and it's ever changing. And so having someone that whether they're a volunteer or it's a lot, and so it's trying to find, and that's what I'm passionate about. It's like I want to help. Like, hey, whether it's me, you don't have to hire me, but here's the things that you need to do. Here's the things that are helpful. Here's the ways that you can reach your community. Because the truth is, even if someone, I would say that even if someone gets invited to a church, they're going to go online. They're going to do the research. Like we do it with everything. Like I just recently moved, I grew up my entire life in the same little city, right? So I knew where the best restaurants were, who the best mechanic was. I had my doctor. I moved, and I didn't know anybody. And so I'd ask my friends at church, "Hey, I need this. I need this." Even if one of my good friends here told me something, "Hey, this is the best. Guess what I'm doing? I'm still going online. I'm still going. Let me look. And even if my good friend recommends something, I'm going, "Yeah, I don't know, man. Their website's trash. They have no reviews. It looks like a sketchy place. I'm going to go somewhere else." And the truth is, people are doing that with churches. And so I think it matters. It matters to be excellent in every area. And excellence is doing the best with what you have. Obviously, not everyone, I get it. But we've got to do the best with what we have. So we've got to utilize that space. And I think we've got to fill up that space, because it can be both dark and a place where we can bring the light and try to reach people with the greatest message on earth.
So just thinking of that space, what do you think is the, like speaking to churches now, what's the significant opportunity for that church, for a church at the moment in terms of, that online space?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that if churches or, even pastors, leaders, they have a message, you can reach more people like daily than you can on a Sunday. Like that's the truth. Online, you can compound very quickly. And I'm not even talking about like nationally, like I'm talking about in your area, reaching people. But it comes down to knowing how to, and also crafting a message in speaking to where people are, speaking to people's pain, their hurt. And I think sometimes, churches go online and they're talking to Christians. Like we can't, we've got to figure out ways to communicate and appeal to people in and around us and online that they're asking these questions, they're searching for these things. And so there's a great opportunity to actually communicate and to create messages and content that people are, they want to engage in. And like I said, the truth is you can reach a church's message, their team, their pastor, they can reach more people online than you probably ever will on a Sunday in a church building.
Yeah, that's great, and great insights, I think, for people and for leaders, just
Definitely.
to think through who are they reaching and thinking beyond, like we're just putting this content out here to communicate information to the church. I guess it's good for us to think and dig in a little bit, like let's say a church is interested in doing the social stuff, getting online, thinking of marketing. What's your advice to a church if they maybe haven't got a staff member to do that, or maybe they've got a tiny budget, like lots of churches don't necessarily have a big budget for this. What's your advice? What do they need to do first?
That's a good question. I think, well, I'll say this. The content that is the most, can be, obviously depends, but the content that's the most time and energy and thought and prayer has gone into is on Sunday. So how can you compound that content? So what can you do with a Sunday sermon? Obviously you can, take it, there's apps out there and you can hire people to do it. Or, honestly, find a young person who knows how to, they can get on their phone and edit a video. It doesn't have to be complicated, but take Sunday sermon, cut up the good pieces of that Sunday sermon. But you can also, from the Sunday sermon, you can, use AI or whatever and create a blog. You can create, basically sermon summaries. Hey, here's the Sunday sermon takeaways from this week, and craft that message and put it into different forms throughout the week. So that way, and I'm saying this is a very simple, like, okay, what's an easy way to create content? Yeah, I'm trying to keep it like very, very simple, but how can you create those things? And like, for instance, right now, the most, especially on Instagram, the kind of what the algorithm wants is reels and carousels. Well, great. Take the Sunday sermon, cut up some reels, schedule that, take the Sunday sermon and create carousel posts on Canva. If you're at 501c3, Canva's free. Well, it used to be, I think it still is, but either way, it's not that expensive. And now with AI, you can do anything. There's so many apps like, Otter. Otter is free for 501c3s as well. You can run a YouTube video through Otter. It'll transcribe it. There you go. You can create a blog. You got all the content. You can create, like just kind of, again, take Sunday sermon, look at that, take that content. Your pastor, or if you're a pastor, you have poured your heart and soul into that. You've spent 20, 30, 40 hours. Man, we've got to utilize that content and stretch it out over the next week or two. And then, is for blogs, man, every church needs to have a blog. One, because some people want to read, some people want to listen, some people want to watch. But also that's good for SEO, which is search engine optimization. That's going to help your church's website to increase their Google rank, people to find you. All those things. So that's what I would say. Kind of a simple thing is utilize the message on Sunday and spread that out and create different content from the content that's already created.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Like recreating, isn't it? Yeah. Recreating what we have.
And I think we have to, and maybe you can speak into this a little bit, Chandler, but remembering the why behind we're doing it. It's about getting that message out there, like you said earlier, and so I wondered if you'd maybe speak into that a little bit for churches, in the fact of, a lot of people will be thinking, that seems like a lot of work. I wonder if you just relate that to, like, yeah, but actually here's what that work, even some of that stuff's not that, not that much work, but here's what that can bring about into a church.
I'll say this. And some of this is, again, my opinion, so, it's all up for discussion. Being consistent online, whether it's, website content, YouTube, creating stuff, again, you're going to be able to reach and encourage, if you're adding value. Again, for me, when you're creating content and putting stuff out, it needs to add value. Not everything's going to add value. I get it. You've got to send some emails that are maybe a little bit more like, hey, here's what's going on. Okay, whatever. There's ways to do both at the same time. But the truth is, being consistent, creating content, having a game plan, making sure your message is clear and you're talking to people, you're inviting them into the story, you're talking to their pain points and not just, putting out announcements, you're going to be able to reach like this. The online space is going to reach and bring more people into your church. It can than any single person in your church. So the investment at some level in someone helping, someone doing, someone creating content, I think it needs to be considered a little bit more, because even your people online creating content that they want to share and utilize to invite or send to friends, again, it's going to reach more people, and more people are going to see it, and more people are going to come through your doors than any single person, any person you could pay on your staff. It's gonna reach and bring more people. Like that's what I think right now. And I think I put a post out like this, and it was kind of a satire, or not satire, but with social media, you kind of have to be polarizing. It's a little annoying, but it's what people, they just, every time you do it, it gets more interaction. And so I'm like, okay, I'll play the game. But I put a post out that said, if Jesus was alive today, he would have a videographer like walking around with him and basically recording, like a Gary V, like he would be putting out content constantly. And like, I think nowadays with churches, I would highly consider having someone that can capture and create and post content should be at the top of the who I'm going to hire next list. Now that's debatable, of course, but that's just a thought that I think should be considered in investing in, because I think it allows you to at many levels to train your leaders, disciple people, walk them through courses, creating that evergreen content that you can utilize, and onboarding or people that are new to your church. Hey, watch this, go through this class online. And find out who we are, find out how to pray, whatever those things are. I think there's a lot of benefits to it.
Well, Chandler, it's been so good to have you on the Church Explained podcast, and I want to thank everyone for listening to the Church Explained podcast. Don't forget to support us by subscribing, sharing, leaving a review wherever you're consuming this content. And as Chandler said, we do have free resources at icon.church/open, where you can get free resources for yourself and for your church. But we look forward to seeing everyone next time on the Church Explained podcast. We'll see you soon.